I left Carriacou when I was 3, 4, and I was taken across to Union Island. We had to go out and fetch wood and take the sheep out, the cows out, and bring them back in the evening.
What's your name?
My name is Jane Cudger.
So, where were you? Where in Carriacou were you born?
I was born in Bel Air Hospital in Bel Air, Carriacou in 1956.
So, what was life like when you were young?
Life was hard. Um, I left Carriacou when I was 3, 4, and I was taken across to Union Island because my mum was immigrating and she had no one to look after me. So I went and I lived with a cousin and her husband, and it was hard. From what I remember, we had to go out and fetch wood and take the sheep out, the cows out, and bring them back in the evening. In dry weather, we had to go and, as they say, drog water. You have to go down to the well, carry a bucket of water on our heads, and it's like walking possibly about half a mile with the water on your head. As young as 7, 8, you had to go and do these things, and that's before going to school. Before going to school, and you went to school, came home for lunch, went back, come back in the evening, go out and bring the sheep and the cattle back in or bring them in a safe place. And if you didn't do it, you got a whooping. You got a whooping for that. And but it was hard. It was hard. The couple I grew up with, they didn't have any children, so I was the only one in their home until like the nephews came and visit with her father, and he was just as brutal, brutal. But yeah,
Tell me a bit about your life in Union. When did you get there?
I got to Union when I was about 3 or 4. My mum brought me over, and I remember the night that she left me. We were at our cousin's, and I remember crying. I remember when she left me, and I had to stay with my cousin's daughter the night overnight. I just remember that. I just have that vivid memory of her leaving me. I can't remember what she said or anything, but I knew she was leaving me, and that's the memory I have as a young child of my mum. You
What
know,
was her? How did she react when you cried?
I can't remember. As a child, you just focus on yourself. Really, you just don't think about the other person. It's me. I don't want to stay here. I want to go home. I want to go home with you. So yeah.
Can you remember your first night, your first day there at that Union?
No, no, no. Can't remember first day. Can't remember that. I think I was traumatized.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
So what was life like then? What earlier memories can you remember settling in Union?
Oh gosh, life. It's just daily life. It's just getting up in the morning and going and taking the animals out and going to school and coming home and bringing the animals back in. But when you went out in the morning, you took the animals out. You don't. It's like you don't come back empty-handed. You come back with a bundle of wood because that's what we use mostly, a wood fire. So you bring wood back home. So you expected to bring this thing back home, and as time went by, you had to learn to milk the cow, and we had a cow named Elaine. We had names
Elaine.
for close animals: a cow named Elaine, and sheep named Betsy, and 2 dogs named Rover and Teddy. So yeah, so Elaine was one of these brown cows, and she was quite good actually, because you had some cows that were really stubborn. You had to pull them and thing them and stuff like that. But she was quite good, and she used to give a lot of milk, a lot of milk. So yeah,
Who taught you how to milk a cow?
Oh, it just, sometimes with the things that you do in the Caribbean, you just watch the way it's been done. You had to go with the bucket with water, and then you had to clean the cow's udders and make sure the pail or the bucket is clean. And then you start milking. You start milking. And when you milk, you make sure that the cow doesn't kick the buckets so that you lose the milk, or on the way home that you don't lose the milk. You
How
have to be so careful.
how did you stop the cow from kicking the bucket?
There's a way actually. When you're milking the cow, you put your head on on the cow. Just you have your head on the cow so that the foot doesn't come forward. She knows that you're there.
Oh,
It's really, it's honestly, it's a technique you have to learn and know how to do that. And obviously, when you're milking the cow, you have to make sure that the calf doesn't come and take all the milk. So you take what you want and you leave the rest for the calf. Or what you do as well is that the calf will start the milk to come, and you drive the calf away. Then you do what you have to do, and then left the calf to have the rest.
so how much milk can you get in one udder from one udder then one session?
Um, we used to get a pail. It's like a paint tin about that size, and you get that because you don't take all the milk from the cow. You don't take all the milk from the cow, yeah. But yeah,
Wow. So what else did you do? So were you were the only person, you were the only child in the household?
living in the house, yeah. Um, when it was planting season, my cousin's husband would get up in the morning and obviously go out. We'd take the cows out and stuff like that because the animals had to be taken out. And then you get in the garden and he would sort of clear the I don't know, feel the ground. And like the next day when planting, we used to usually plant corn and peas. So the next day he will go around digging the holes, and myself or my cousin will go on and put, like, I think it's 8 grains of corn in the hole and cover it, and as we go along, cover it and things like that. And then I think once the corn starts shooting, then they'll go around and plant peas next to the corn and things like that. Yeah. And as the corn shoots, you had to in the mornings you had to drive away the birds from taking up the shoots.
How did you do that? Do you have scarecrows?
No, we didn't have scarecrows. We didn't know anything about scarecrows. We were the scarecrows. We were running around. We were the scarecrows running around chasing the ground doves, we used to call them, chasing them because and when the weather when it obviously when as it becomes hot, they'll go away. But it's the early morning. You try and keep them away from the young shoots, and as the shoots grows, obviously it gets a bit firmer and stuff like that. They don't need them. So it's only when they just start coming up you have to be very careful because you might lose so much because they're looking for food.
So you
You know.
literally had to just wait all morning and run them off.
Yeah.
Wow.
Certain time. Yeah, he's there till about probably about 8 o'clock or something like that, and then obviously it gets hot then, and they go and find shelter or wherever, and that's it. Yeah, but just for certain times, it's like everything. We have a season. They have a season of coming out in the mornings early.
So it's a constant battle.
Yes, yes. Preservation, preservation.
Mm. Wow. Wow. So tell me about so you went to your schooling in Union.
Hmm.
So what was that like?
Um, Junior school. I think I used to like school. I've always seemed to have liked school. You went to you make sure you have your exercise book and you have your pencil because they weren't provided. You have to provide them yourself. And then when it comes to the stage of reading, you have to have your reading book. And the school, like the classroom or the small school, was just open, and the different classes in the one open area, and you had different teachers and things like that. And as we went along, obviously you had exams, in a sense that reading you had to go and sit with the teacher and read a certain passage that he gives you to read and tells you, don't tell anybody where I've told you. But sometimes you go back and you tell, and you get into trouble. And one of the things I remember being in secondary school, I used to have extra lessons for maths and stuff like that. So I remember my cousin's husband's nephew, his name was Bolton. And I remember going to their house to have extra maths lessons, as time went on, things like that. Because like even the teachers that on the island were young teachers in the early 20s and so on, So yeah.
Why do you think that was? They were young teachers.
Because I think the older ones, they went away, didn't they? They like went to the mainland, and everybody's trying to strive for better, make their lives better. So the young ones, they've been to college and stuff like that, come back home, and they will get an appointment or teaching in a school. Mm.
Mm-hmm. So, what was Union like compared to Carriacou? Can you compare it? I know you didn't live in the
No,
water much.
I can't really compare it because I always think of Union being better than Carriacou, but people will say it's the other way around.
Because you were brought up there.
Yeah, exactly. But I loved Union. It's still, it's like when I go home, it's my home. I go to Carriacou and I call Carriacou my home as well because it's part of my DNA. So yeah, yeah.
Did you do any sort of like cultural activities in Union? Were there anything that you
No,
did?
no, not as such because I was brought up in the Seventh Day Adventist Church. So basically, we just did church things, and I don't remember much activities doing then, because like now they have more activities where within the church, like they have the Pathfinders, where it's a bit similar to the Cubs and Scouts, where they do all these things to get their badges, and they learn to make a fire, learn to cook, learn to sew, things like that. Like so yeah.
Mm-hmm. So were people on Union Island predominantly Seventh Day Adventist?
Um, I wouldn't say so. I wouldn't say so. There was the Adventist Church. There was a Catholic Church. There was a um, Church of England. What they call it? What did they call it? I can't remember what they call it. But there was a three. Basically, those were the three main denominations. But as time gone on, you have the different ones that's come onto the island now. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, what was the main industry there in Union? What did people mainly do? And obviously people were going abroad.
Yeah,
But what?
I think a lot of it with people going abroad, the family is dependent on them sending money. Also, like the people would have their own little fishing boats, so they'll go out fishing and they come back and sell their wares. What other things? Mainly their garden and their livestock, and also you have people who will be going sailing, will be on a boat working or ship working and coming back. Um, so every week, I remember every week a ship came from Trinidad that came up on a Thursday, and so you had some men from Union working on a ship and things like that. So that was, as far as I can remember, that's predominantly it.
Mm-hmm.
Predominantly it, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, what age did you get the? Did you leave? What the circumstances of you coming? Did you go back to Carriacou first and then come to England?
No,
What happened?
because I didn't grow up with my siblings, and they came up here before me, and I I think my I think what it was as well is that when you reach the age of 12, you had to pay full fare for adult fare. So I think my mum wanted me up here before I was 12. So I think that's what I think one of the things that happened. It so happens that she was lucky financially wise at that particular time to send for me, because my siblings came up on the boat, and I hear all the things about how they enjoy the trip on the boat, and they did this and they did that. Well, I flew up here.
So, tell me about your journey then from Union to England.
My journey from Union to England. I remember my cousin. Um, coming with me to the airport and going on the plane, traveling from St. Vincent to Barbados. There was a gentleman there, his name Mr. Harvey. I can't remember his first name, but he was on there and he looked after me until we got to Barbados, which wasn't a too far a journey. And once I got to Barbados, I can't remember what happened. I can't remember if he saw me through customs. I can't remember if anybody received me there. But I remember being in the airport and waiting because we had to leave St. Vincent early in the morning. It's always an early morning when you leave the small islands to go to get your connection. I remember being there early. Let's say early, probably about 9, 10 o'clock or something like that. But the plane leaving Barbados to come to England doesn't leave until late afternoon, early evening. So I was in the airport all day, and I remember somebody having to go and sit over there and wait. But I remember on a couple of on occasions when I went up to the desk and I asked them, "When's the plane coming for England? When's the plane for England?" So yeah, so I waited there, and then I don't remember boarding the plane. I remember being on the plane and being fed. Um, the food was, I can't remember what meat or whatever it was. I remember these little potatoes, and they were horrible. Because you're not used to things like that. You're not used to things like that. You're used to your rice and your peas and your dumplings and stuff like that. But little potatoes and what have you. So I remember not eating there, and I remember later on having a sandwich. Can't remember what the sandwich was. And we got through to wherever it was, and we had to go through customs. And I remember they stripped me. I don't know why they stripped me. They strip searched me. I had to take my.
How old were you?
I was I was 11 because I left. This was still the 6th, no, the 7th. I was 12 because I left on the 6th of March and I arrived on the 7th of March. So I left when I was 11 and arrived when I was 12. But I remember being strip search.
Was that normal?
I don't know. I don't know. When I say strip search, it's not down to what have you. I remember my mom had sent me a green suit, a green pantsuit, and with a green cap as well. And this thing itched. It itched. And my cousin gave me this outfit to wear under it, and the outfit didn't know the outfit was a set of pajamas I wore under the suit. But that helped, and it kept me warm as well. But I had to take my jacket off, my trousers off, and stuff like that. I just remember little bits. Can't remember the whole thing, but I remember being sort of strip searched in that sense.
How
Yeah,
did you feel about that?
I wasn't happy about it, but as a child, you can't really do anything, can you? You
Mm.
can't do anything.
Did you see anyone else being pulled to be strip
There
searched?
were other a few. There were a few other people. There were a few other people. It wasn't just me. It was a few other people there.
And what airline did you come over with?
BOAC,
BONC.
British Overseas Airways Company or something like that. Yeah, that was the name of the company.
Did that then go on to the British Airways?
Yes,
Right.
yes, yeah,
Interesting.
yeah.
And so you flew into what
I think I
airport?
flew into Heathrow and then on to Manchester.
So you had to who flew who met you at Heathrow?
I was being looked after by the stewardesses.
Oh, okay.
That was at the time you could request children could be looked after by the stewardesses and things like that. I don't know for now, but then you were able to do so.
And so they connected you to Manchester,
Yeah, yeah.
and then what happened then?
I got to Manchester and my mum was there to meet me in Manchester.
Can you remember the first encounter with your mum?
No, oh gosh.
So how long had it been since you'd seen her at
Um,
that point?
6, 8 years,
Uh,
about 8 years.
had you seen photographs of her or
Yeah, yeah,
communication
yeah,
stuff
yeah.
like that?
Because there was occasional photos from my mom, and how my cousin would take photos, like being a bridesmaid. It says take a photo, of a single photo to send to your mum. I remember I was bridesmaid for three different people,
Mm.
and the photos were taken of me. But where those photos are now, I do not know. They're just lost in whatever.
Time.
But yeah, meeting my mum, I remember she came in to meet me, and there wasn't a hug. She held my hand. There wasn't a hug, and I think we had to go and get we had to get the train from Manchester to Huddersfield. And this time, like it was night. I remember the first thing she gave me to eat was a bar of chocolate. Chocolates.
Did you enjoy it?
Yeah. That's probably where my love for chocolate is.
Was it the first time you had that kind of chocolate?
Yes, yeah. Because
Wow.
you didn't really have chocolate back home. You had sweets and things like that, and
Mm.
homemade things like drops and stuff like that. Yeah.
Mm. And so you went back. What did you think when you got back to where your mother was living, grandma was living?
Oh, I don't remember the night that we arrived. I remember the next day I woke up and looked outside and it was like, oh my gosh, it was frosty, it was cold, and of course where we were living, the house they didn't have central heating, had a coal fire. I remember that, a coal fire, being sitting in the coal, and we had to go shopping because she had to get me some clothes. I remember going shopping, getting some shoes and things like that, and then getting a uniform for school and stuff like that. Yeah, yeah. But it was cool. I stayed in a lot. Well, I had to stay in because I didn't know anyone. I had to stay in because I didn't know anyone. My brother was there. My sister was in Huddersfield, but she was nursing. She lived in the nurse's home. So yeah,
Wow,
but yeah.
amazing. So leaving the island now. When did you leave Carriacou?
I think I was about 3 or 4 when I left Carriacou and got to Union London. But I remember on 2 occasions going back to see my siblings that were there. One occasion I remember seeing meeting my sister, and then the other occasion when I went back, she wasn't there. She'd already come up to England. My brother was there because it was my uncle's wedding, and I went over to be a bridesmaid. And I think I was about 10 at the time, if I could remember correctly. Yeah.
So early life in Birmingham. What was Birmingham like when you first arrived?
Um, Arriving from Manchester, we went to Huddersfield
Okay.
because my mum was in Huddersfield. I finished secondary school in Huddersfield. Um, it was I love school because I had good friends there. And what we did and things like that, like the games we played at school and the wars we won because of our group and stuff like that. But the thing about being in Huddersfield, it's a tightly knit community, and it's like you do anything. If that being like the Caribbean, you're walking about before you get home, your parents knew what you were doing. So it was the same there. And I remember reading a book on the way home, and by the time my mom came home, she knew what I was doing on the street. She knew what I was doing on the street. So, but my mom didn't we didn't gel because I didn't grow up with her. We didn't gel, and I left Huddersfield when I was 17, came to Birmingham, and it was different. It was different trying to get used to it. In those days as well, jobs were easy to find. You can finish a job on Friday and get another job on Monday, and so people change job pretty quickly or easily. And so getting around here, I didn't go out as much, saying I had friends here, and it was more family orientated to visit family at weekends and so on. And one of my things was clubbing. And I remember we used to go to the clubs with Charlie and them. We used to go to the Santa Rosa and places like that in Handsworth and in Birmingham and stuff like that, and seeing all these stars coming over from America and things like that. Yeah, it was good. It was good.
So, were there many people from Carriacou here at the time when you came?
Yeah, as I say, I think we met them mainly when we went out to, at the time, like you had weddings, and when you go to weddings, you meet everybody. If it's a wedding, it's a Caracol wedding, so you meet everybody from there. But only for me particularly, I only knew the people from Huddersfield and Birmingham. I didn't know Caracol people. I still don't know Caracol people as such. Like you go back home and it says, "Who are you?" And then when you tell them who you are, they'll say, "Oh, you're the one. You're that one." And that's how they refer to you. So, but like being in Birmingham and like people in West Brom, because we got a lot of Carriacou people in West Brom as well, that came over and they lived close, a close knit society. And as I say, the clubs and the parties and things like that, you met them there. Yeah.
Mm. So food memories. So what food reminds you most of home?
Cuckoo and okra. Cuckoo and okra reminds me of home because one of the things I had to do was on a Thursday, I had to grind the corn in the machine. And being a young one, having to grind the corn, you crack the corn and then you grind it and then you grind it again and grind it again and it's sifted so that all the husk can come out. And then for my cousin to cook cuckoo on a Friday with okra and fish and stuff like that. But it's still a nice meal. I love it. I still love it. I still love it.
So what dishes did your family cook? Pretty much, was it mainly cuckoo and
Yeah, and on Sundays you had rice and provision like sweet potatoes, dasheen, yam, and meat, and then you had callaloo and okra as well, stuff like that. But the meat is mainly chicken because obviously they grow their own chicken, and I don't even remember having goat meat or lamb or anything like that. But it's always chicken, always chicken.
so moving on to culture and community. So do people from Carriacou still meet up here where you are in Birmingham?
I think they do, but I'm not. I got to the stage where I like to keep myself to myself. I hear about these things that happen, but I like to keep myself to myself. It's getting to that way you're safer at home than out.
What what culture and traditions have you kept from Carriacou, Grenada,
Oh
Union?
my gosh, I don't think about that. I just think about just living, just doing the right thing, washing the way we wash, and making sure like for instance the dishes are clean, you have a clean sink at night before you go to bed, you don't put certain things on the dining room table, you don't leave certain things out, and just make sure the place is tidy. That's about it really for me. That's about it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, on reflection now, what do you miss most about the islands?
Oh, the fresh fruits and the sea, going to the sea, although I couldn't swim until recently. Still can't swim that strong, but the fresh fruits, what you can get, things like that, it's nothing like it. Nothing like it. And fresh fish, fresh meat, it just the taste is so different, so different. So that's one of the things I miss.
So, what would you want younger generations to know about Caracou's culture, tradition, the island, or
I think they need to go back and see what's happening because you can tell them things and so forth, but they need to see what's happening there. They need to see the different things that take place, like the carnivals and things like that. Although I'm not for carnivals, I don't like crowds anymore. But like to see how they celebrate, how they celebrate the different feasts. I think every child that's born of from Carriacou, from the descendants, they need to go back and see these things. They need to go back and see it.
So, what does Carriacou or mean to you today? I know you were brought up in Union, but what does Carriacou
It's
mean
still
to you?
home. It's still home. Union is home as well, but Carriacou is home. It's always home. It will be always be home. It always be home.
So, do you remember the first meal you ate when you went back to Carriacou after living in England? The very first meal you ate.
I think it was pea soup because I went back in 1984. Went back 1984 and I stayed at my uncle's and his wife, and I'm sure it was pea soup that we had. I remember seeing a turkey for the first time change color. It may sound silly, but you see the turkey walk around next to you, see this thing is red.
And what was the hardest thing about leaving Carriacou or Union?
Oh gosh. I think when I came here, as I say, I was 12, and I left my cousin behind. And then coming here because it was so different. I came here in March. It was cold and didn't know anyone, and I really missed my cousin. I wanted to go back. I cried. I wanted to go back, but after 2 years of being here, my cousin died, so couldn't go back. But I wanted to go back, but I'm glad I didn't because if I'd gone back, I wouldn't have been here. Wouldn't be here now. Wouldn't be here now.
So, can you tell us any kind of like folk tales or like any kind of like what scary stories were you told
Uh,
or folk traditions you were
oh,
told?
one of the things you were told is like when you go to the cemetery, you never point at the grave, you never walk on a tombstone or anything like that. It's really, really, really strange. And there were some children when they were young. Um, if anyone had died, they used to pass the child over the coffin and stuff like that. Never happened to me, luckily, but but people, they do these things and they frighten you. They literally frighten you to death, and it's something that you remember. You never forget it. You never forget it. So yeah.
So, have you heard of any other tales or any other?
I don't know any Anansi tales or anything like that.
Can you remember your first job?
Oh gosh, yes.
What was it?
I I went for an interview for a job in printers, um at a printers, and I was waiting to hear back from them. And then I went for an interview for another job, working in the biscuit factory. And
Really?
I got the job there and then, so I took the job. And it was one of the most fun experience I've had because we used to get out. Obviously, you have to get up early, and we had to there was a coach came from Barnsley, through to wherever, through to Huddersfield, and took us to Halifax. So it picked people up on the way, different points, and I went to that job, and I had a classmate that was working there, and we made a few more friends, which I'm still friends with them now. Unfortunately, my classmates, she's passed on now, but I'm still friends with a couple of the girls that we used to go to. Yeah. And it was fun. It was fun working in a biscuit factory. We made friends with the people there. We had a supervisor on our what was it? Our section called Anne, and she was only a little woman, and she was like, yeah. She was good. She was nice. She was nice.
How much were you paid?
Oh
Do you
gosh,
remember?
I can't remember. I think probably about £25 a week or something like that. Is that 25 or £12 a week or something like that? That's a long time ago. It's a lot of money.
Mm.
Yeah. And on a Friday, um, one of the girls, the two sisters, will bring their portable record player the singles and stuff like that. And when we finished work on a Friday about 1 o'clock, we used to have music on the coach back into Huddersfield, and everybody was singing and stuff like that. Everybody, black, white, everybody singing. It was really, really nice. That was a really nice experience, yeah.
Well, interesting. So, were there quite a lot of people from Carriacou in your circle at that point for work, or?
The sisters and my classmates were from parents were from Carriacou. They were from Carriacou, yeah.
So you met quite a lot of people that are around your age who came to Huddersfield at that time.
Yeah, we didn't, it still didn't mix as the kids mix now, where you say, "Oh, mom, I'm going after my friend," or "I'm going so and so." Oh, we're not allowed to do that. you know, you have work to do. Get on with it and things like that. You meet if you go shopping. You meet and things like that. So yeah, yeah. But I remember my friend Harriet. Oh my gosh, she was something else. She was some the Adventist. Harriet loved the club. She loved the clubbing. And the mum didn't want her to go out, obviously. And there, where they lived, their bathroom was on the ground floor, and she used to leave the bathroom window unlocked. She got clubbing, and she'd climb back through the bathroom window to get in. But yeah, yeah, she was fun. She was fun.
Oh, wow, wow. So you spoke about before about how why was life hard when you first got to Union? Why was it hard? Can you elaborate on that?
I suppose because I didn't know anyone. I didn't have my siblings weren't around. There was neighbors. They had children, but to go there, they had a dog, and that dog, it didn't like me. That's all I can say about this dog. It didn't like me, so I kept away from them. In a sense, we used to meet on because they lived one side of the road and we live on the other. We'll meet in the middle and we'll play games and stuff like that, like marbles and stones and what have you. And sometimes when my two cousins came, they'll play as well, but obviously it's only a short time. But most of the time I'll play on my own under the mango tree and things like that. But in a sense, it was lonely because there was no other children in the household. There was no other children in the household. And sometimes on evenings we go and visit a cousin who looked after her grandchildren, and sometimes it gets so late that I'll fall asleep with them in their room, and then it's time to go home. I have to wake up to get up to walk back and go home. But yeah, there's no young children around me in that sense in the home. Yeah,
So you had to kind of be self-reliant.
yeah. Make my own fun. Make my own fun.
Do you think that shaped who you are now?
Yeah, I love my own company. I love my own company, and it's good in a sense because it means you don't have to depend on people. You don't have to depend on people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Thank you
But
very
yeah,
much.
you're welcome. You're welcome. I hope this helps.